Hello, welcome to Yoga at the Library. We are going to do a really relaxing class today that focuses on the hips, and we're also going to do a little bit of shoulder stuff. So a lot of the places in our bodies where we tend to hold stress, we're going to stretch those places out, and hopefully this will be a stress relieving and relaxing class. We do need a wall or a door. I'm going to use my nice table here. Like a plain door works great, or inside of a door frame. The only thing we're going to do with the door is legs up the wall, so you don't need a ton of space, but you do need some kind of a wall. And then I have a blanket that we're going to use towards the end of class. And this blanket, if I fold it up, it's not going to squish. So it's going to kind of keep its shape even when I squish it. So like a comforter would not probably work. A towel or a firm quilt or even a firm pillow works great. Or if you have a yoga block, use a yoga block. So we got our blanket, we got our wall space, and we're going to start today in legs up the wall. That's how relaxing this class is. We will start and end in legs up the wall today. So we're gonna just take some scoots towards the wall and take the legs on up. And if your booty can make it all the way to the wall, that's great. If you're a couple inches or even a foot or so away from the wall, that's fine too. Kind of take some of the stretch out of the hamstring, which is nice. So we can rest the arms wherever it's comfortable. Legs are just straight up the wall. Noticing how your spine feels pressing against the floor. I'm assuming this is the first time you've gotten your body into this position today. So letting your body get used to the idea of being kind of upside down and kind of horizontal. Feeling the circulation reverse in the legs, feeling the spine lengthening and flattening out, and adjusting however you need to as your body kind of lengthens and relaxes, adjusting however you need to make it more comfortable. Taking some breaths here, checking in with your body. Checking in with your emotional state. Feeling the heart rate slow down as your breath slows down. And being aware of these changes. When we're in this pose, now and at the end of class, I challenge you to focus just on the sensations you feel, your spine against the floor, your circulation in your legs being reversed, or your breath. The inhalations, fresh air filling the lungs and the belly rises. And the exhalations, pressing all that stale air out. So focus on those things, your body and your breath. Don't worry about the other stuff. Don't make a grocery list in your head. That's what I usually do. Keeping the legs up the wall, we're going to take the arms out wide into a T shape. Feeling the change through the back, the change through the shoulder blades. And if this feels great, you're feeling a stretch across the chest, you can keep your arms just like this. For a little bit more of a stretch through the inner arms and the chest, you can bend the elbows, taking the backs of the hands to the floor. The forearms to the floor and the backs of the hands to the floor, or just towards the floor. This is a really nice, gentle heart opener. It opens the inner arms, the underarms. And paired with our legs up the wall position, it's obviously very relaxing. So we'll move with our breath here. Inhaling, sliding those hands up over your head. And on your exhale, bending the elbows, bringing those elbows down as close to the rib cage as you can, trying to keep the elbows and the forearms in contact with the floor. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Feeling the release through the inner arms. The stretch across the chest. We'll take a couple more breaths, opening up those arms. And then come to just rest with the arms out wide in a T. Keeping those arms wide, let's go ahead and slowly bend the knees. Use your wall to press away from the wall a little bit, to scoot your whole body away from the wall, a couple scoots. And then let the feet keep sliding down, let the knees bend, relaxing those legs, feeling the feet warming back up with our circulation returning to its normal pattern. With our knees bent, we're going to go ahead and roll to the left side. So we're kind of in a comfy side laying position, and you can scoot farther away from the wall if you feel crowded, if you feel crunched up. We've got the hips stacked one on top of the other. We've got the knees stacked one on top of the other, and the feet. And then we'll extend the arms and have the hands stacked one on top of the other. And here we're going to flow through a twist. So we'll inhale, opening that right arm all the way into a big wide twist. And on our exhale, we'll close the arm back across. Inhaling, opening into the twist. And exhaling, closing it back across. Inhaling, opening one more time. And then we'll hang out in that twist, relaxing through the legs, especially the tops of the legs, the fronts of those thighs. Letting that right shoulder hang out in space or press towards the floor. Just letting gravity help your body open that whole right side. Taking a big deep breath in, opening up the heart, And on your exhale, go ahead and close the right arm all the way back across, meeting the palms together. Now we'll do that same twist on the other side. So we're making our way over to lay on the right side. Again, scooting away from the wall if you feel crowded. Knees are bent, knees are stacked, ankles are stacked, and the palms are stacked. Resting the head on the floor if it's comfortable. And on our inhale, we'll take the left arm up and open. Exhaling to close. Inhaling to open, noticing any differences on this side. If you feel tighter or more open on this side. Just noticing, not trying to figure out why or anything. Just checking in with your body. And this time we'll hang out in that twist, letting the left shoulder press towards the floor, letting that left knee press towards the right knee. And breathing comfortably here, opening up the whole left side of the body. We'll take a big deep breath in here, filling up the lungs. And exhale to close that left arm all the way across. Now we'll carefully come to lay on our backs with the knees bent. Go ahead and give those knees a hug. Rock and roll the spine side to side. Give yourself a little massage on your back. And we're going to make our way up into a seated position here. So if you have enough room to rock and roll forward and back and come on up, go ahead. Or you can just make your way up. Ooh, I don't know if I have enough room. Up to seated. So here we are. Give yourself enough room from your wall that you're not going to hit it when you take your arms out to the sides. We've got our ankles crossed, sitting up nice and tall. If you want to sit up on your blanket that you've got or your towel, that is a nice option to take a little bit of the strain out of the hips and the knees. Sitting up nice and tall through the spine, lengthening through the crown of the head. Hands just rest wherever it's comfortable. Hopefully noticing some more length through the spine after that horizontal time. We'll bring the palms together at heart and come into arm circles. Taking a big deep breath in through the nose. Interlacing the fingers and exhaling, pressing the palms forward. Inhaling, arms come up. And exhaling, hands back. Hands can maybe interlace. We inhale, lifting the fingers, lifting the chin, opening the heart. And exhaling, hands come to the center. Deep breath in. Exhaling, pressing the palms forward. Inhaling up, shoulders dropped away from the ears. And exhale, hands back behind. Inhale, opening across the heart, collarbones. And exhale, hands together. One more like that. Deep breath in. Exhaling, pressing the palms forward, rounding between the shoulder blades. Inhaling, palms up. Exhaling, hands back behind. And inhaling to open up the heart, lifting the hands and lifting the chin. Exhaling, hands come to center. Alrighty. We'll take the hands to both sides of you. Inhaling, left arm comes up, stretching through the left side. Inhaling. And then exhaling, both arms up to center. Usually I start that differently. Exhaling down to the side. Sorry, guys. And inhaling up to center. There we go. Exhaling down. Sometimes I have to do it and say it to remember the right way to do it and say it. So we're stretching through our obliques, the sides of our core, the rib cage, and the top of the pelvis, right where the top of that hip bone meets kind of your soft belly, getting a nice stretch through there. Meeting up at center when you feel even, and bringing the hands back down through heart. And we'll cross our ankles in the opposite way, so the opposite ankle is in closer to your body, adjusting as needed on your blanket or on the floor. And let's take a hold of both knees. And we're going to make big circles with the chest. So we're rounding the back when we're back, using those knees for leverage and pulling the heart forward, opening up that heart. Moving slowly and continuing to breathe, opening up your spine, the low back, the SI joints, the hip flexors, a little bit of everything here. Go ahead and switch directions. We'll make our way back to center. Lengthening the spine. Inhaling, the hands both come up. And we'll exhale to twist. One hand comes to the opposite knee. Inhaling, both hands up. And exhaling, twisting the opposite way. Moving with your breath. Inhaling, hands come up. And exhaling to twist. Warming up the body, opening up the spine, loosening up those shoulders. When you feel even, making your way back to center with the hands. Alrighty, we are going to come into a tabletop position here. So if you've got a blanket and you want to use it, you can make a pad for those knees. We do want to make sure that we're far enough away from the wall that when you lengthen a leg, you don't kick the wall. You want to have enough room to be able to lengthen a leg and not be limited by the wall eventually. First, though, we're going to come into cat and cow. So we want to find the neutral spine. Knees are right underneath the hips. Wrists are right underneath the shoulders. Fingers are spread out nice and wide. Go ahead and See if you can pay attention to the spot on your back. If you were to pat yourself on the back, that place, and notice if that place is arching up towards the ceiling. And if it is, see if you can drop it down. Bring it level with the shoulders rather than round it up towards the ceiling and up towards your neck. Drop it down so you've got a straight line. If someone were looking at you head on, they would see a straight line all the way across your shoulders. I hope that makes sense. We want to have a nice long neutral spine here from the crown of the head to the tailbone, so the gaze is down at the floor in between the fingertips. Coming into cat and cow. Inhaling, lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly, lifting the chin. And exhaling, tucking the tailbone, rounding up through the back and tucking the chin in towards the chest. Moving with your breath here, taking any movements side to side or forward and back that seem natural or seem necessary to release your whole spine. Coming back to neutral here, lengthening the spine, recentering those knees. We'll take the right leg out long. We want to make sure that the foot is flexed and the toes are pointing straight down towards the floor. So our hips not open, toes pointing out. We've got our hips squared, toes point straight down. Right arm is long, neck. The neck and the whole spine is still neutral, so we're not dropping the belly to lift that heel up super high. We just want to lift the heel up till it's level with the hip. Taking the left arm out long. Deep breath in to lengthen from the fingertips all the way to that heel. And on our exhale, we're bringing the elbow and the knee together. Maybe they touch, maybe not quite. We inhale to open, warming up the core. Exhaling, elbow and knee come together. Inhaling, opening it up. Exhaling, crunching together one more time. Opening it up. And coming back to hands and knees. Tabletop. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Lengthening the left leg, making sure that those toes are pointing straight down towards the floor. The right arm comes out long. Big long line from the fingertips all the way to the heel. Spine is neutral, the belly is hugging in rather than hanging down towards the floor. On our exhale, we bring the elbow and the knee together. Inhaling, lengthening it out. Exhaling. Inhaling out. And exhaling one more time. Inhaling to get nice and long. And then exhaling to come back down to our tabletop. Taking the knees a little wide and the big toes together. And coming on down into your child's pose. Arms can just relax. You can bend the elbows out. Forehead comes down towards the floor. Just be heavy here, heavy through the forehead and heavy through the tailbone. Letting your spine round, letting gravity help your hips relax and open, your knees relax and open. Alrighty, we'll carefully make our way back up to our tabletop. Taking the knees back or the hands forward, whatever you need to do to stay on your mat and get a little bit longer. Because we're gonna tuck those toes and we're gonna lift the knees and lift the hips up into downward facing dog. Pressing one heel and then the other down towards the floor. We're not getting too crazy into those shoulders. We're just strengthening the shoulders and strengthening the back here. So we're not trying to get our ears in between the biceps or anything. We're just holding ourselves up. We're going to focus on the legs here. So we want to take a big deep breath in to come up onto the tippy toes and exhale to press the heels down. Inhaling, lift up onto the tippy toes. And on our exhale, we're bringing the knees down towards the floor till they almost touch. Inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, press the heels down. Inhale, up onto the toes. Exhale, lower knees almost all the way. Inhale, stretch. And exhale, heels press down. We're going to do that one more time. Inhaling, heels up. Exhaling, knees down. Inhaling, knees up. And exhaling, heels down. Nice. Now we'll take both knees down, all the way down. And if you shifted so your blanket's in the wrong spot like I did, go ahead and bring your blanket back under your knees. Blanket's really helpful, especially with this next pose that we're gonna do. So stand up onto those knees and go ahead and tuck your toes as much as you can on both feet. We're gonna come into a lizard lunge. So we'll step the right foot forward first. And we wanna take it forward until you feel like you can press your hips forward and feel a stretch through that left hip flexor. So we don't wanna be in an upright square here. We wanna be a little bit forward of an upright square, more of a diamond shape. And then we're gonna take both hands down to the floor inside of that right foot. The right toes turn out to the right. Maybe they even come off your mat over to the right side so that that right knee can kind of come over to the right side. And we can hang out here in this stretch. You can adjust however you want. You can bring that left knee farther back to get the hips lower. You can bend the elbows down to yoga blocks, down to the floor. You can keep the arms straight and stay upright here. We're getting a big stretch through this inner leg on the right side and the front of the leg on the left side, the hip flexor. If being still feels good here, stay still. Or if shifting from side to side or forward or back or making kind of circles here feels good, feel free, get into your joints. Check out what's going on with those legs. We hold a lot of tension here. We sit in chairs a lot. We walk and run and we do not stretch enough. So we need to give our hips some love. If your elbows are bent, go ahead and bring those arms straight. If you slid the back knee farther back, go ahead and scoot it forward a little bit. And we'll make our way back into standing on the knees. Tucking the toes, checking in, noticing some asymmetry in the body, a little bit of imbalance. Let's balance it out. So we'll step forward with the left foot, maybe taking that foot a little bit farther forward so that we can make that diamond shape with the legs rather than a square. We want more of a diamond. Bringing the hands down to the floor inside of that left foot. Taking the left foot farther over to the left and spinning the toes out to the left. The knee can fall out to the left, giving your hips plenty of space. And we come into the pose on this side. So we want to maybe bend the elbows, maybe keep the arms straight, maybe scoot that right knee back. Maybe we're shifting, rolling from side to side through the hips, finding your pose that feels good to you and your hips this afternoon. Remember earlier when we got into tabletop and I asked you to drop that spot on your back where you pat yourself on the back, the place behind the heart where the shoulder blades come together? Remember that? See if you can drop that spot now. It changes it a little bit. Ready to come out of this lizard lunge. We can straighten the elbows if your elbows are bent. Drag that right knee forward a little bit. Come on back to our tabletop. Now we're going to come back into child's pose because your hips are way more open than they were a minute ago. Taking the knees wide, big toes together, shifting those hips back and noticing whether you're a little bit lower with your booty than you were a couple minutes ago. That lizard lunge is like a great preparatory stretch for child's pose. It lets us get even lower with the tailbone to round the spine and open the spine even more. Alrighty, we'll make our way on up. Coming back into our neutral tabletop position. And this time we're going to come into a nice shoulder stretch. If you have very tight shoulders and you know it, you might want to use your blanket for the shoulders here. I'm going to try that. So I'm just going to make myself, just like I had for my knees, I'm going to make myself a little pad up here for my hands. We'll take the left arm out wide to the side on an inhale. And on our exhale, we're threading it underneath the right, lowering all the way down to the blanket or the floor. So we're getting a big twist through the upper back, the shoulder blades. And we're lengthening the spine, stretching that right shoulder. No, left shoulder. Stretching that left shoulder. The right hand can stay right in front of your face, kind of supporting you, or you can slide that right hand up and overhead, intensifying that stretch, that twist in the upper back. Finding your pose here. And if you need even more support underneath that shoulder, if you can't make it down to the ground, that's fine. Fold your blanket again, roll your blanket, hold yourself up. You do not need to force yourself down to the floor. You can bring the floor to you. Bringing the right hand back in front of the face and carefully pressing on up back into our tabletop. We'll take the right arm out wide to the side on an inhalation. On our exhale, we thread it through underneath, lowering the shoulder towards the floor, to your prop. The left hand is right in front of the face for some extra balance, or you can extend it up overhead. On your exhale, go ahead and bring that left hand back in front of the face and press on up. Back into our tabletop. Alrighty. We're going to come to a seat. I am going to sit on my blanket because I'm liking my blanket today. Sitting up on your blanket is always a nice modification, especially if you have a tight lower back or tight hamstrings or tight hips or all of those things. So we're sitting up on a blanket, maybe letting the legs be long out in front of us. We'll sit up nice and tall through the spine, crown of the head up towards the ceiling, flexing the feet so the toes point up towards the ceiling. Hands are just wherever it's comfortable. This is staff pose. Dandasana. It is a yoga pose and it is hard. We'll take a big deep breath in here. And on our exhale, we are going to relax and fold forward. Letting the spine be soft and round. Letting the back of the neck release and the head just hang forward, hang heavy. Noticing how your inhalations take you out of the pose a little bit. Your exhalations allow you to get a little bit deeper, just a teeny, tiny bit with each breath as the muscles in the back and the legs lengthen and stretch. We'll inhale to make our way carefully on up. We'll stay up on a blanket. If you're up on a blanket, we'll take the legs a little bit wide into a V shape here. Again, flexing the feet, activating the legs and sitting up nice and tall. Coming into this pose. Hands maybe to the floor, maybe to the legs, wherever it's comfortable. Taking a big deep breath in here with a long spine. And on our exhale, we fold forward and relax the legs, rounding the spine, relaxing the back of the neck so the head just hangs. Noticing a different stretch here. Opening up through the inner legs, more than the backs of the legs. These forward folding seated poses are really good for releasing lower back pain because they stretch your hips and your hamstrings. A lot of times we have back pain not because of something going on in our back directly, but because we've got tight hips and tight hamstrings. Already carefully making our way back up. And we'll keep the legs wide here. We're going to stretch the sides of our backs. So we'll take the bottom of the left foot to the inside of the right leg. Taking both hands to either side of that bent leg. So we're pointing our heart in the same direction that that left knee is pointing. And we're going to take the left fingertips behind the ear, and the right hand to the right leg. It's a good setup. It's worth it. Then, keeping that elbow pointing back and up, we're gonna slide the right hand down the right leg. So we're stretching through that whole left side. The elbow is pointing up towards the ceiling rather than forward. It's more important that your chest is open and your left-sided stretching than reaching your toes. That's not the goal here. The goal is to get a big stretch through your left side. For a little bit more gravity, you can extend that left arm long, or you can keep the fingertips behind the ear. Inhaling to come all the way up, releasing the arms. And we'll switch sides, extending the left leg long. Right foot comes in, taking the heart to point in the same direction as that right knee. Hands to the floor on either side of that right knee. Right fingertips behind the ear, left hand to the left leg. And we slide that hand down, pointing the elbow up towards the ceiling. Keeping the heart open. The goal is to open the whole right side of the back of the rib cage, the muscles along the spine. Again, the top of that pelvis where the top of your hip bone meets your belly. And extending the right arm long for a little bit more of a stretch, if that's what sounds good to you this afternoon. We inhale, coming all the way up, and exhale to release the arms. Alrighty. Oh, we get to do a good one now. Okay, so we're gonna come down onto our backs with our feet towards the wall. We're not going legs up the wall just yet, but we will go there. So the blanket's handy, but we're not using it just yet. Everything's right here for us to use. So we're coming down onto our backs. Knees are bent. Go ahead and walk the feet in nice and close here. We want to have our feet feeling like they're hip width apart and parallel. Checking in with the spine, taking a couple rounds of breath, letting your spine be nice and flat and long against the floor. We'll open up the front of our body. All those forward folding seated poses can make our hip flexors tight. So we're going to open up the front of the body. And then we'll do this really nice relaxation pose. So pressing into the feet. On our inhale, we're lifting the hips towards the ceiling, lifting the belly button towards the ceiling. On the exhale, lowering on down. Inhaling, lifting. Then exhaling to lower. One more time. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to lower. Alrighty, here is where you will want your blanket. So what we want to do is fold or roll up these blankets so that they are as thick as possible. So I folded my blanket as many times as I physically could. I can't fold it again, it's too thick, and that's where I'm going to stop. And then we're going to place those blankets. A yoga block works great for this, but a blanket folded up also is really nice, and it's a little bit more comfortable, I think. So we've got our folded up blankets. Thick, 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 so many layers, so nice. And we're gonna press into the feet to lift the hips and place that folded blanket underneath the tailbone, underneath the base of the spine. So we wanna feel like we can relax onto that blanket without wanting to balance. It it should feel comfortable. It should feel like it's in a comfortable spot. It's not going to break your tailbone off, and it's not squishing into your low back. It's kind of in between the two. You should feel balanced enough that you can lift your feet up and not feel like you're going to fall. So finding that position, this is called supported bridge. And just for fun, to see how it feels, I want you to take your feet as far apart wide as your mat is. So your feet are pretty wide apart, and then let your knees fall towards one another. Maybe they don't make it all the way together, and that's just fine. But we want to relax those knees dropping towards one another so you can fully relax. And it allows that low back to kind of widen. If this is terribly uncomfortable, you can adjust your knees however you want. Just breathing here. Releasing through the low back, the SI joints. Letting the fronts of the legs lengthen and open. This is a good one to reverse all the, or not all, but some of the tightness and damage that sitting and driving a lot can cause. Alrighty, we're going to carefully lift the hips just half an inch and then lower, or take the blanket off to the side, lowering all the way down to the floor. You can keep your knees falling towards one another, the feet wide if that felt good. Just noticing how weird the flat floor feels after elevating those hips for a few moments. Noticing how long your spine feels. Noticing any release or tension or weirdness through your low back. Just noticing. And here we'll take the arms out wide in a T. Let the knees fall down to one side. Inhaling them up to center and exhaling down to the other side. Just kind of windshield wipering those knees back and forth. When you feel even, coming back up to center with the knees and hold them close. Hug those knees in, rounding the spine, giving yourself a little massage through that spine. Alrighty, here is where we are going to make our way into legs up the wall. So, however you can get there with your booty to the wall. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a crab walk kind of thing. Or you can scoot, however you want to get there. Taking one hip to the wall and then sending those legs on up. Bending the legs up the wall, and we're gonna do one more stretch before we relax here. So we've got both of our legs nice and long. Let's take the right ankle across the left knee. And if this is a good stretch for you, you can hang out right here. If you want more of a stretch, you can take the bottom of that left foot to the wall. So bending the left knee and pressing that ankle towards your body. And if you are noticing your booty lifting up away from the floor, go ahead and scoot farther away from the wall so that your whole low back can be on the floor. Hopefully feeling a nice stretch through that right hip. This is like a figure 4 position, except for we also have our legs up the wall. So it's a really passive figure 4 position. You get all the benefits of legs up the wall, all the relaxation, circulation, and blood pressure help, while you're also getting a nice hip stretch. We'll extend the left leg back long up the wall, uncross the right ankle. We'll come into that same pose on the other side. Left ankle comes over the right knee. We bend the right leg so the bottom of the foot comes to the wall. Maybe. The closer that left ankle is to your face, the more intense of a stretch you're going to get. So find your stretch. What feels good to you today? Breathing into that left hip where you're feeling your stretch. Letting gravity help you. Letting the heaviness of your spine ground you and provide some traction. We'll carefully extend the right leg all the way back up the wall and uncross the left, bringing that back up the wall. So we're coming into proper legs up the wall pose. And if you want to stay here for your final relaxation, that is an option. You can also come all the way down onto your mat and just be long and flat on the floor. Knees can be bent. You can come to lay on your side, whatever feels best to you today. And coming back to my challenge from before, pay attention to the sensations in your body. Pay attention to your breath. If your mind starts to wander, bring it back. We've always got our bodies and we've always got our breath. We can always take the focus away from whatever's going on. Bring it back. Try that for a couple moments. At the very end of our yoga practice. Taking a few nice deep breaths. wherever your body has found to relax, go ahead and bend those knees nice and close and roll over to one side, laying all the way over on one side for a couple breaths. And go ahead and press on up into a seated position. You can sit back up onto your blanket or just onto your mat. Sitting up nice and tall. Hopefully feeling some space through the hips and the spine and the shoulders that maybe wasn't there at the beginning of class. And we'll close with our 3 deep breaths, bringing the palms in together at heart. Taking a big deep breath in, arms come out wide. Breath in for the world. Exhaling, hands to the center. Big deep breath in for our community. Exhaling, hands to heart. And a big deep breath in for ourselves. Exhaling, hands come to center. Thank you so much. Namaste.